Welcome back to another gadget report. Let's talk gadgets. And today we are going to do revisiting of my 2025 forecast that I did in January 2025. So I started my year with this forecast, and now I am going to go back to that video and do like a report of what actually happened. So as you know, I always record my videos 1 week before publication, so therefore today I have actually fresh news to add to this. So come with me, let's see if I was right, and let's see what was aviation in 2025. So let's revisit my video of January and let's see if I was right or not. I think I was right in some things, maybe not eventuated that much, but overall I think I did a good report. You tell me. I'm waiting for your comments below. Did I get it right or not? So we start, as I said in the intro of this video, because I record my videos 1 week prior to publication. This is fresh out of the news cycle, which was something that obviously affected aviation massively worldwide, and this was the recall of the Airbus A320 family due to a problem with a software upgrade that caused some issues with the flight controls and forcing Airbus to make a recall. And of course, all the Airbus A320s, the aircraft from the family, were grounded and needed to be addressed. So what apparently was needed was to get the software back to its previous version, and then it would work. The problem, according to several news outlets and also to Airbus and all other outlets, says that the sun would be causing this issue, some malfunction on the controls. Apparently there was a flight that lost altitude and triggering all this investigation, leading to this recall. I would say it was carnage all over the world. Most airlines use the A320 family because it's a very popular aircraft. It's very good, and it's good for domestic operations, and for example for Europe, airlines use it a lot within the European market. In Australia, for the domestic market, Jetstar, for example, was highly affected. However, and according to airlines, the fix, it was not that complicated. It was just a software upgrade that apparently would take about 2 hours. The issue here was the location of the aircraft, because they would have to relocate the aircraft from wherever it would be to the maintenance facility, do that upgrade, and then reposition that aircraft where it was supposed to do. So the logistics of the issue, or should I say the logistics of this fixing this problem, was more complicated than fixing the problem itself. Apparently most airlines, Jetstar was saying yesterday, and I'm recording on a Monday, so on the 30th of November, Jetstar was saying that all aircraft were back into operations, that the problem had been fixed. However, Saturday was a very complicated day with a lot of cancellations, a lot of issues because, of course, there was the recall and the aircraft needed to be fixed. Throughout Europe, TAP, British Airways, lots of airlines also reported issues. Asia, everywhere. I would say I think there wasn't a country that wasn't affected because really this is a very popular aircraft. Apparently it's a quick fix and things are going on the right direction now. Now, let's go to our report. So, I would say, and this is a sad realization and obviously wasn't on my forecast, the year was marked by crashes. 2025 was marked by crashes. It started with that horrible accident in India involving Air India flight AI 171 that crashed in a hostel shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad airport. Of course, investigations are still ongoing. And as I said at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to preempt any of conclusions and come to that speculation ground that has been going on all year. I'm not going to go that way. Once a final report comes out and something is known about the crash, I will obviously be making a gadget report about it. But this is just to say that there was this that probably was the most mediatic and most tragic event during the year. But then after that, we have had crashes throughout the year and everywhere. We had a few in Australia. We had, we had, for example, and again, I'm recording this 1 week before publication. So I would say last week because you're watching me 1 week later. We had a mid-air collision in Australia of two small aircraft. So it's been insane in terms of this. I'm not sure, and maybe because now we live on the 24-hour news cycle and things get reported maybe more often than they once did. But to me, quite frankly, it looked like we had more crashes than usual. It looked like almost every month or almost every week. I wouldn't say every week, but very frequently we would have a report of a crash somewhere around the world. So, and obviously this is also something that it's very sad. According to a blog, I found this blog, Hollywood Live, which quotes the NTSB, by the way. I know the name of the blog is not very, but they quote the NTSB and they actually link it. So I believed it and I verified it. There had been 1,203 aviation act incidents this year, but only 226 of which were considered fatal. So fatal, of course, involves fatalities. So still a minority, but there had been a few. I would like, obviously, to leave my condolences to the victims of the families of all these crashes, because obviously it's always a horrible situation. So this was, for me, one of the things that I would, that maybe stand out in the year was the all these events throughout the year. As I said, it was like we would hear one today and then a few days later there would be something else, and it was like almost every day was present in our minds that something is happening in aviation. That was something, a mayday call, emergency landing. It was, I believe it was a year marked for a lot of reporting on these things. And as I say, I'm not sure if this is the perception because news outlets now report more on these things, and sometimes I believe with this reporting, try to make aviation less safe than it is. It is still the safest way of travel. We have less aviation incidents than we have, for example, in our roads, and we know that. But of course, it is something that it gets in our mind, and it was really noticeable, I would say, this year. Now, the reality. Let's go first for my January forecast, and I'm reading my notes because I need to know what I said and what I want to say now. In January, I predicted that it was going to be a challenging year for aviation because of the whole thing with the cost of living crisis and the high inflation. Inflation in Australia have been kind of going down. In the last week, it registered a slight increase again, which is not good news, especially for mortgage holders and renters because of the interest rates. And of course, when you have high inflation, and this was what I said back in January, when you have high inflation and people have less power to purchase things, they're going to cut on something. And of course, they cannot cut on the mortgage or rent. They cannot cut on food. But unfortunately, we've seen that a lot of families are now cutting on food because they cannot afford food. And of course, if they cannot afford food, if they are already cutting on food, they're not going to purchase holidays or anything else. So it was a challenging year, and that's what I predicted. I also mentioned the lack of competition in Australian market. That would be a setback for growth because obviously, and we still have that, Qantas is still very dominating player in this market, and that it really jeopardizes competition, and it's a setback, I would say. Then my overall prediction would be that we would have more fuel efficient aircraft and environmental initiatives, and I forecasted a positive year despite the challenges presented. Was I right? Well, let's see the reality. And I took the information from IATA. So it's the authority. You have all the information about aviation there. I leave the links below of all my sources. According to IATA, report published in June 2025, so this was a while back, I think I can safely say that overall I was right. It was a positive year for aviation, despite all these events of course that are negative. But if we are talking in terms of growth and in terms of profits, etc., it still was a positive year. Net profits, according to their report back in June, as I said, according to their report, profits rose from 32.4 billion US dollars in 2024 to 36 billion in 2025. So it was a significant increase. Passenger numbers rose 4% more than 2024, and the total revenue rose 1%. Modest, but still a positive figure, still growth. So overall, it was a positive year. For Australia, competition is still very low, especially for the domestic market. We have very little competition. Basically, Qantas Group dominates the market because we have Qantas, we have Jetstar, we have Qantas Link. So they are the really dominant figure. And then we have, of course, Virgin Australia, and we still have Rex. But, Qantas is still the dominant figure, and we really need to get this competition going. So hopefully something happens next year or in the future to curb a little bit of this competition. In terms of international competition, Qantas is still the dominant figure. There was some more airlines coming through and increasing flights. Just recently, Malaysia Airlines announced they are returning with their flights to Brisbane Airport, so which is good news for those who like the airline, which is not my case. And it's always good either regardless of which airline, it's always good when there's more airlines, because there will be more offerings and there will be competition, and competition is always a good thing. But also, like I expected, new routes were created, new technologies and programs kept pushing aviation forward in the right track, and I think that was great. Air New Zealand, as I reported a few weeks ago, tested an electric aircraft. That was, for me, that was really great news. British Airways reached new destinations and increased frequency in some existing ones. So did Air New Zealand, so did Qantas. A lot of airlines did that. And this comes to show that our gadgets are always ready to spread their wings and fly. So that is good news. So in fact, I think overall I was right. We had a positive year despite all the challenges and despite these least positive events, of course, very tragic. Let's see what 2026 brings for our gadgets. And that's all for today. I hope you like my gadget report, and I hope you like my review of my forecast in January. Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Was I right, or do you think that in some aspects I may have not been correct in my forecast? Let me know. Let's start this conversation. In fact, the reason I started this was because I really wanted to know your input as well, and if you actually agree with what with the forecasts and with what I understood it was going to be aviation for this year. So leave me a comment below. I want to hear from you. And of course, if you have any other suggestion of any other topic that you would like me to discuss, please leave a comment below. I'll be very, very happy to accommodate that. Or if you have any question that you would like me to answer, you know what to do. Just leave a comment below. And as I'm always saying, put a like on the video and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a new gadget report every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.